This comes from the O'Reilly factor. It's a question that he posed the other night. All right, and yeah, John, you're familiar with this, or I know you already heard it. He asked a question: if you were to see someone being murdered in front of you, would you do something about it?
Yes.
Okay. Now he takes that same scenario and he applies it to Libya. We see people being murdered over there. Do we do something about it? And his answer is yes, you need to do something about it. You have to. And if it means an intervention, that's what you have to do. You have to do what it takes to prevent the murder.
No, John. He missed the most important thing. What's really going on over there? That's not his own people he's murdering. He's flat out told you it's Al Qaeda. There is somebody else in his country the same way that's happened in Bahrain, that's happened in Egypt, that happened in Yemen. There are other people from other countries going in there starting this mess.
Well, we need to
We've
get you on
actually
the
seen
phone
in
with Bill
China
O'Reilly.
the ambassador to China in the middle of, he was caught in the middle of the protest, egging it on, the ambassador to China. And they called him out on it.
Hmm.
We don't know these people. We do, like we're out there supporting the rebels, but we don't know who the rebels are. We have no idea who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Chapman wrote in an article in Reason magazine that people in the United States know less about Libya than they know about playing the oboe.
Yeah, because I'm not supporting the rebels.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you right now, I'm not afraid to say it. I'm supporting Gaddafi on this one because I know exactly he is fighting what I'm fighting. I've heard him at the UN and everything else. He's fighting the New World Order.
Now, what O'Reilly was talking about was he was under the assumption and under the presumption that these were Libyan citizens who were standing up against a ruthless dictator and trying to change their lives and their government for the better. Now, under that scenario, according to Bill O'Reilly, you go in because you have to do what you have to do. You have to do something to prevent the slaughter.
No, you don't.
Right.
Because when we rebel, I personally have told UN soldiers and other soldiers from other countries, I don't want you here. It's our fight. Stay out of it.
Now that brings up a good point. If you get to that, remember we said we're going to send 10 million people up to the White House, right? 10 million people go up there and ring the doorbell to evict Obama from the White House, right? To throw the government out, to throw Congress out on its ear.
Right.
Will it be U.S. troops or will it be UN troops that come in?
That's why you answer O'Reilly's question, absolutely not.
Yeah, because NATO would come, right? Because it's a threat to an ally. So of course
No,
they would
UN.
control NATO, and they would bring NATO in.
Huh?
You see what they're setting you up for now. By asking you that question, they have then put you in the position, if you uprise, you now have given by your answer the UN permission to come in and say, all right, they're having to attack their own people because they're rebels. We're going to go take care of business for them.
Well, I believe that if we ever got to that point, it would not be the U.S. Marines coming in to disarm American citizens. It would be UN forces coming in to disarm American citizens. I think that's what we would wind up seeing. We would see foreign troops on U.S. soil.
You know, John, what's really interesting about this line of thought and these questions is that these things are going to happen. I mean, they will happen at some point in some country. I mean, whether it's here or somewhere else. These things are inevitable, and it is a fact of history. I mean, Machiavelli wrote about it when he wrote The Prince, and the idea that you have totalitarian dictator, you have a dictatorship that falls to the people, and then the people become corrupt and they fall to a person who will, the prince, and then the prince will become a dictator, and so on. The cycle will always repeat. It is the nature of government that this happens, and we have to really think about this. And this is why we are limited government supporters, because we know this is the case, and we have to fight it. We have to stand up and fight it every step of the way to say we don't want to fall into a state of rebellion, because the riskiest thing that we could possibly do is put all the cards on the table, because just as much as we as freedom-loving people want to see our rights restored, there are communist forces out there that want to see the collective rights of the people restored. There are evil forces in the world, truly evil forces that think that they have what's the best for everyone. And they want the same things that we want, which is for everybody to be happy and healthy and have great lives. They just totally disagree on how to go about it. And if we go into rebellion, if there's any kind of open rebellion anywhere, then that's the risk. You don't know what's going to come out of it, and it's a terrible. It's a terrible thing to get to that point. So as much as we talk about these hypotheticals, we don't support those things actually happening. We want to resist that at all levels. We don't want to support any organizations or sound like we're supporting any organizations that would want to do that. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in standing up for the natural rights that it's supposed to protect and enshrine. And we definitely do not believe in initiating any sort of violence to achieve a political
Absolutely.
ends.
Well,
Absolutely.
I got a link that I just sent over here, and I'm looking at this now, and it says, as of 2009, the United States has a population of 307 million people. Based on the population data from firearm manufacturers, there are roughly 300 million firearms owned by civilians in the United States as of 2010. Of these, about 100 million are handguns. And let's see, households with a gun, 40 to 45%, approximately 47 to 53 million. Adults owning a gun, 30 to 34%, 70 to 80 million. And adults owning a handgun, 17 to 19%, 40 to 45 million. So that's an awful lot of guns out there. Now, next category here, and this breaks it down into categories. This is percentage owning firearm. Households, 42% of households own firearms. 30% of individuals own firearms. 47% male, 13% female. 33% white, 18% non-white. 41% Republican, 27 independent, 23 Democrat. And this is off of justfacts.com. And thank you to Gio for sending this over. So interesting. So there's a lot of firearm out there. So if push comes to shove, we may not win the battle, but there'll be a lot of bloody noses.
Yeah.
And
I think. You see how much Kent State is in our common culture now. How much really references to what happened at Kent State, is really known. At least. And it's a shame. I think it should be taught really more in schools, but and more emphasis should be put on it. But I believe that if that had happened in a larger scale, that it would have meant something really. When you get to a point that American soldiers, are shooting at American citizens on a large scale, and by large I mean hundreds. I don't mean thousands. That's when it's game over, because that will really just rip the blinders off of people, and that's when things change.
And that's when everything starts looking like the LA riots.
Yeah,
everything just gets out of control.
Because you know what? Because don't worry about the law, because they can't arrest us all. And once people raise up, the government is powerless to stop it. Mm-hmm. It's an illusion of control that they have over the population.
Mm-hmm. Well, but that's when we start looking like Libya.
Yeah, they control us as long as we allow them to control us. But like I said, when you get 20 million people show up at your doorstep, what are you going to do? Are you going to call in an airstrike?
But we will.
Obama says we have the right to uprise. He keeps telling us we have that right.
And Thomas Jefferson says we have that right, and we have the responsibility to cast off that government and form new government.